Amy from Amy Latta Creations, and it's time to take our doodles to the next level by creating borders. These are going to be so useful and helpful when you're creating your quilt labels because you can put them around the outside and really give it that extra added touch. So let's go back to some of the doodles that we learned on their own, like the arrow. We can use the arrows as a border as well. So let's imagine that we have a piece of fabric and we want to give it a border. We're going to draw our arrows and we'll put one at the top. Maybe we'll put one on each of the four sides, or maybe just the top and bottom. These are great for any kind of adventure awaits themed quilt or anything that has that tribal feel, anything with feathers and dream catchers. This is going to be a perfect accent. You can also cross your arrows. You can create slightly diagonal lines and cross one arrow over the other like this, which makes your border even thicker. So I'm following those same basic steps when we first learned the arrow doodle. I'm just drawing two instead of one, and you can do this on as many sides of your fabric piece as you like. The next border is again one of the simple doodles that we learned, just extended a little bit. We're going to take our leafy vine, draw a wavy line, and we're going to continue it all the way around our piece of fabric. Don't worry about it being even or perfect. Remember, this is handmade, so we want it to be art from the heart. So we're coming down the wavy line. We're adding flowers and leaves. You can add little flower buds. You can also add flowers in the corner. So I might come in and do a set of my messy flowers here. And you can see an example here of how I did this on an actual piece of fabric. I did my flowers in the top and bottom corners. And then for this border, I chose to do just two sides, but you could also connect it with the leaves going down all four. Another border you can try is built off of our spool of thread doodle. Take a look at this sample square. I put our spool of thread in the upper left-hand corner, then I continued the thread all the way around in a wavy line. Again, don't worry about making it neat, even, or perfect. It's just going to give us that fun border effect, and it looks like we've taken a piece of thread and just laid it all over the block. Next, we can take some horizontal and vertical lines to create a square or a rectangle, and then add details in the corner or square it off. I like to draw a second line, and then you can put some seasonal effects or little flowers. Christmas is a fun time to use holly, so we could do little holly leaves and some berries, and you can see an example of that here on this Christmas quilt label where I've put holly and berries in each corner and then some simple lines to connect them. You can also take this a step further. You can create your box by drawing your lines and drawing a second line. Then we can either leave it as is, or we can go around the outside edge with a series of little bumps. And they can get bigger and smaller. Just give yourself some artistic freedom. Play around and see what you can create. Then you can go back in and add any kind of color. You can add little dots if you like. You can see I've added some little pink dots to mine. I also added a blue line for color, and this just frames your label really nicely. So there's tons of things that you can do to create borders, including some of those running stitches that we did. For this triangle label, I went around with the little dashed horizontal lines, and it just looks like it's been stitched. Remember, we also did the X's and we did diagonal lines, which can be continued around two or all four sides of your label to create a stitched look. You can even draw an image like a heart and stitch around that as well. You can see here I combined that with our needle. To make your needle look like it's actually sticking in the fabric, here's a quick trick. You draw the needle in two sections, then some little parentheses, and that gives it the effect that we're popping the fabric up, and it looks dimensional. There's no wrong way to create a border for your quilt label. These are so fun to do, and I'm sure that if you're anything like me, you have a fabric stash, so you have plenty of fabric to play with and test these out. The Missouri Star Quilt Company fabric markers come in black as well as colors, so you can create these really beautiful labels and color in your borders as well for that extra visual pop and to make it coordinate with the rest of your quilt project. I hope you've enjoyed learning these borders, and remember, these aren't the only ideas and options that you have. You can create borders of your own. Take any of the doodles that we've learned or any others that you like to draw and create and play around. See what you can make.